Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be having an update on tropics. We'll be take a look into Invest 98L and also as well as Invest 97L. We also have a no tropical disturbance update is right now about to get off the west coast of Africa here, and that will also have a chance of developing into a tropical system. But let's first talk about Invest 98L and 97L. We'll begin with Invest 98L, which that's the storm system that really a lot of people are concerned about with this one here. Right now, the National Hurricane Center has a 90% chance in the next 48 hours and 5 days here. And I think at this point here, it is a really a tropical depression here. It's really have gotten pretty organized today here. You can actually tell kind of the swirl around here. You got storms started to kind of get around the main circulation, which is right in here. That's going to be your main circulation. So I think by tomorrow, this here will be probably more likely be a tropical depression by tomorrow with Invest 98L, and you can see how it's really started to get pretty organized there. So yeah, on that. Let's take a look at some um, hurricane models. And here's the tracks here for right now. Models last night actually had a really good agreement of missing all the islands to the north, but now we're kind of getting back to a little bit of a big uncertainty again. We actually got a pretty good cluster of models kind of going for Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Cuba. Meanwhile, you got a couple other models still missing to the north, but also hitting Florida as well. And there's going to be a really big difference between the track here because with landfall, if it gets into Dominican Republic and Cuba, it's going to be much weaker. If it misses all those, if it missed Cuba and Dominican Republic to the north, then it's going to be stronger. I actually made a map for you guys here, and I'll show you guys that towards the end of the video. Not really quite 100% forecast though, but I'll show you guys kind of a demonstration what I'm talking about. But let's kind of go back to this here. You even see here a cup in when those couple of models, passes Cuba, it gets into the Gulf. So that'd be if it verifies, it will likely uh, try to redevelop again here to maybe another tropical storm. Well, not another, but it could try to redevelop, which we're going to keep an eye on that. But there's still a lot of uncertainties with the track here. We'll figure it out in the next 3 days. 72 hours is 3 days, and that's when it gets into Puerto Rico, and we'll have a better idea of where it's going to be going uh, with Invest 98L. But let's look into the GFS ensembles here. Actually, kind of show missing all the islands to the north. There's actually a really good agreement on that, and you can tell there what's really bad about it is it could miss to the south of Florida and curve into the Gulf of Mexico and then hit Florida, which I think that's something you don't really want to see because that gives more time to intensify before it makes landfall. You can also see there whenever it passes over Florida and actually may skim, the east coast there and may try to intensify again, but we'll keep an eye on that. There's still a lot of uncertainties with that. We're still quite a few days out from that there. And let's look into the CMC here, and it's kind of all over the place, but it's also the similar scenario. Misses Cuba and Dominican Republic to the north, and CMC model doesn't really do a good job on the on hurricanes, tropical systems. And you can see here it's kind of similar to GFS, but the members are a little bit spread out, especially when it gets to Florida. You can tell how the members are just kind of all over the place. So, but we're going to keep an eye on that. We'll have a better idea as it kind of approaches Florida. Here's the intensity guidance. Likely take this as a grain of salt here. You can see here the majority of the models, there's a cluster of models kind of bringing into a category 1 hurricane. Meanwhile, you got one model going to category 4 strength, which is um, and that's one of those models that misses Dominican Republic and Cuba to the north, and that's what could happen. That's possible. Well, actually, not quite possible. I don't think it will reach Category 4 strength, but we'll have a better idea on that. But you can see here, there's even a couple models out there. They're keeping it tropical storm status there, but again, the intensity guidance from the hurricane models have been doing terrible. Although they have done a pretty good job with tracking some of these storm uh, tropical systems. They've done a really good job on Isaias. Um, so it may not be uh, doing a good job on the intensity of the storms, but it has done a really good job on the tracks. But there is some disagreements with that as well. So let's kind of go back here. By the way, there's no advisories that I know of on these storms here yet. So yeah, I think we can get those either later tonight or tomorrow. Let's move on to 97L, which they've recently been upgrading percentages all day for the next 48 hours. It now has a 70% chance in the next 48 hours, and meanwhile, for the next 5 days, it's also 80%. So it has a really good chance of developing there. And let's take a look to Invest 97L. Very disorganized system, I gotta say. Although you are starting to get some convection try to form around the main circulation. But here's the major. This is where, again, where it has some disagreements here, and also kind of makes a big difference on the tracks. You can see here we have a kind of cluster of models there, actually kind of missing Mexico. You can actually go between Mexico and Cuba. That's not good. I'll tell you that. That's not good. Even if it skims like these two models right here, if it even skims, it's still likely going to really maintain strength, and that's not going to do much. But if it's likely to be these two models, like the UKXI and the AVNI models, it'll likely be uh, weaker when it gets into the Gulf. But with these four models right here, that's definitely don't really want to see because what that's going to do, it's actually going to maintain its strength and it can actually be stronger before making uh, landfall there. And that'd be something we do not want at all there from the hurricane models. GFN Sensibles not really quite picking it up, although it does show the best case scenario going for Cuba. It not really do much of anything, but if we look into the Canadian model, you can see here it actually kind of shows the best case scenario of going through most of the members going through Mexico and be a little weaker, although it could affect Texas later down the road. So that'll be something to keep an eye on there as well. Here's the intensity guidance from the hurricane models. You can see here most of them having a good agreement tropical storm status. However, if it does kind of slip in between Mexico and Cuba, I think it'll be stronger than what some of these models are showing. Now, if it's going through um, Mexico, like this model here that's about to, for example, it's very weak. So that's also a model that's nailed Gonzalo as well. So we're got to keep an eye on 97L very close, but again, it's still pretty disorganized here. Uh, and I think 98L is more organized than uh, 97L there. If we kind of go back here, I'm going to briefly talk about this disturbance right here. And that's going to be going on to the Atlantic. Now, for right now, there's still a lot of uncertainties on the track here. There is a decent agreement here that it may be more of a fish storm and kind of have no threat to the United States because of the Bermuda High of how weak it is. So that's kind of the track on it right now. That's why I'm not going to really mention about it. It's also not an invest, which I'm sure it will in the next probably 5 days there. It's got a 40% chance, but well, I can see this becoming a tropical system as well, like these other two. But I think the main question is going to be where it's going to be going and the intensity of it. So we'll watch that very closely here, but on that there. So let's move on to my map here that I've made here. So So we're going to start off with Invest 90L here. Now in the green area, that's where we have the pretty much the best agreement with the models here, but from down there we get some disagreements here. Even though the cone may be still be the same size, but it makes a big difference in between, these colors here. And like I said with 98L, if it goes for, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti, in Cuba, that's going to be the best case scenario because really the primary threat for these guys here would be gusty winds and heavy rainfall. However, it will be much weaker and it actually be some better news for the United States later down the road. However, in the red area, that's the worst case scenario. That's where the storm will have a lot more time to gain some strength. It could be stronger and it can go anywhere across southern Florida here. That's be something to keep an eye on. It also go for the Bahamas, which those islands won't be able to do much of anything with it, which is very unfortunate there. And they also got hit hard by other systems, hurricanes in the past. So hopefully we won't see the worst case scenario. Right now, I can't give you quite the percentage here. I'll say there's a 50-50 shot in these scenarios here right now. The best way I could give it to you. And then the white area there, that's where we don't really quite know where it's going to be going beyond that. So keep in mind of that. But this can also mean that some of these areas in this white area does have a threat to invest 98L. That's what it can also mean as well here. But again, that's the very uncertainty area there. So we'll know better as it kind of gets closer to Florida. Now let's look into Invest 97 Hill. Again, better agreement in the green there, but beyond that, the best case scenario going through Mexico there, where it could be much weaker. The worst case scenario will be going slipping in between Mexico and Cuba, and that's good. That can maintain strength or gain strength more there. And then beyond that, anybody in the white area does have the threat from 97L, but we'll again have a better idea as it kind of gets closer to Mexico in the next few days. So that's my map there that I've made to kind of give you guys a better understanding of what I'm talking about here on the system here. And again, um, with 98L, we'll have a better idea as it kind of gets closer to Puerto Rico. And with 97L, we'll have a better idea of what can happen when it gets into Mexico. Uh, well, something I forgot to put on here as a tab here. I want to look into the icon model here, which has been quite interesting, especially last night here. Now, I don't know if it's crazy on this run here or not, but the icon does not quite do a good job on it. But this is definitely something I really want to mention here. So, uh, on that last night, it was actually showing invest 97L and 98L in the Gulf of Mexico in the same time. Now, I don't know if it's still showing that on the 18Z run or not, but that's kind of ridiculous to think about there. Another thing to notice from the icon model, it's actually showing, worst case scenario like I was talking about. And it actually hits this area here of Florida and millibar wise showing 944, which is pretty much a category 5 hurricane right there. Now, hopefully don't see that happening there. It also does show 97L also as a hurricane as well at the same time with pressure about 990 millibars or a little bit lower, but we're starting to see 97L starting to show up and also 98L there at the same time. So it kind of shows the worst case scenario like I was talking about there. It actually kind of slips in between Mexico and Cuba. You can see 999 millibars. That's pretty much close to a tropical storm at that point. There's Invest 98L, more of a tropical depression at that point. And you can see here how it starts to really intensify with 97L as it kind of approaches to the Gulf Coast states. 998 millibars. Meanwhile, you have 98L really dropping bars, 989 millibars, and you have 97L pretty much looks to be still a tropical storm of 999 millibars, but this is definitely we really need to watch fairly closely here. But again, this is not an official forecast for an icon model um, as well. But we'll have a better idea as we kind of get closer to the time frame where it kind of gets a little closer for the United States from both systems. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy this a little bit of a tropical update video. If you guys did like this video, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications so you never miss upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put in the comment section down below. I'll answer your guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.